Welcome back to LearnPianoLive.com. My name is Jamin, and as you can tell from the countdown clock, the lesson is about to get started. In case you're new with this, there's a few things I'd like to show you to help you throughout the lesson. Today we're writing songs. Everybody, I'm writing songs, you're writing songs, everybody's writing their own songs, and this is truly for all levels. So anyone can write a great song. You are going to write a great song. Depending on your skill level, you may not be able to play the song at the end of the lesson that you've written, but at least you'll have something you could pass off to one of your musician friends and have them play the song for you that you wrote. So that's the goal today, is to write a song and understand how they're put together. You'll hear lots of talk about chords and about keys, so it helps if you have some knowledge about that. But there are really three parts: the chords, the melody, and the lyrics, and you can just do one of those parts. You don't have to do all three of them. And I should also throw in here, there's many ways to write a song. So this is not the right way to do it. This is just a way that I think is easy to get started on and for me to show you how to do on your own. These lessons are always guided and shaped by your questions, and if you're live with us today, there's a couple different ways you can do that. One is in the public live chat, and the other is the Ask Jamin a Question button, where you can ask me a question privately, and I won't share your identity in case you're afraid that your question is stupid. But it's not. If you're in the archives, though, then just open up the survey. At the end of that, there's a place where you can ask your question. I will say I frequently get questions from students in the archives watching a lesson from 6 months ago, and I have no idea what they're talking about. So please try to be as specific as possible. If you're watching this at LearnPianoLive.com, there should be a PDF and an MP3 button right next to this video. The PDF will often have additional video links inside, so you can get more in-depth instruction on each of the topics. And if you're the kind of person who likes to print out the PDF so you can make the same notes on your physical version as I'm making during the lesson, now would be the time to do that. The MP3 is just a play-along track so you can practice more after the lesson. In traditional lessons, a teacher is going to actually present some new concept for maybe 5 or 10 minutes every couple weeks. The rest of the time is going to be spent applying and refining those concepts. Well, here I'm spouting off hours of new information every week, so it's totally unreasonable to expect you to actually absorb all of that. Instead, the goal of these live lessons is for you to find some little nugget of something that makes sense but is a bit of a challenge, and for you to go practice it, because practice is where all the improvement's going to happen. So don't feel bad if you have to leave the live lesson when you find that little thing that you're going to practice. And of course, if I'm going too fast, you can always rewind the live lessons or replay in the archives as much as you want. If these live lessons start feeling random or meandering, it's because they are, on purpose. So if you're the kind of person who wants classical training with a step-by-step method, then you're going to want to check out Kloppel Academy on the website. It's included in your live lesson subscription, so you can do both or either. And the upper levels are seriously hard work, but it's going to take you all the way from ground zero all the way up to being ready to enter any major music college as a piano major in classical or jazz. And thankfully, I think that's about all we need to cover before the lesson. So if you'd stick around afterwards and fill out the survey, I would love your feedback. But for now, let's have some fun and make some music. All right, let's finish this thing off. Today we are talking about the lyrics and the melody of the song that you wrote. Just to give you an idea of where we were yesterday, we had written out a bunch of chords. Let me show you the PDF. I went ahead and put in all of the tracks that we have for the drum tracks. Switched from YouTube to SoundCloud, because SoundCloud is just easier to upload to for this kind of stuff. It's, if you haven't used it, it's just all audio, so it's like YouTube without videos. Which doesn't mean anything at all. It's like YouTube without the videos. Okay, so it's just a place you can stream audio. That's awesome. It's like Facebook, but without all the people and the stories, you know. So then it's like the car, but like without the moving parts and stuff. You know how that is. Like So these are all the SoundCloud files. The ones in orange are the ones that are done, and the ones in black are the ones that we still have yet to upload. Most of the 3/4 stuff is done, but I'm uploading them in batches together. So 3/4 and 6/8 will be done. If you wrote a song in 4/4, whether it was swung or straight, you now have a drum track for it. Again, these are 98 measures each. Yeah, 96 with an ending, I think. So you probably won't use the whole track, but I made it long enough that however long your sections are, you should be able to play along with that. Then yesterday we had, I'm just going to write out the chord progression here. In the middle, we had this thing that it was in 6/8, and it went F to A minor to B flat to C suspended, or B flat over C, which sometimes went to C there at the end. So something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. So that was our chorus, and we're not going to write the verse today. Just the chorus part. So that's our chord progression. We're in the key of F, and if you need more details about what in the world we're doing here, then go back to yesterday's lesson because we went through all of that step by step. But that's kind of our starting point for today. And today we will talk about writing the melody. Now, we have said that there's multiple ways of writing a song. The one that we're using here is where we come up with the chords first, and then we write the melody, and then we put the lyrics in according to the melody, or together kind of with the melody. So that's the method we're using here. If you already have lyrics that you're wanting to cram into a song, it's probably not going to work in this case. If you already have a melody and you want to try to sing that or play that over top of what we've written here, that's probably not going to work either. So the only one that's working here is where we start with the chords, then we make up a melody, then we make up the lyrics. We're starting from, we have nothing. If you already have a melody, you already have lyrics that you want to put a song to, then put into a song, then that's not going to work here. Starting with the chords, adding the melody. So first, throw out all of the melody and the chords or the lyrics that you brought to this song that you're hoping to get to fit into a song, and throw those out. We're starting fresh. Probably starting with the rhythm for each section is the best way to come up with something that's going to be compelling. As it turns out, rhythm is way more important than the melody in every single case, even when you're just playing some other song. An example of this would be like if I play you this song right here, name this song out loud as soon as you recognize it. Probably so far you don't know what in the world that is. But if I played, so that was all totally the correct notes to a song that I'm sure you know. Now let me play all the wrong notes, 100% wrong notes, but the right rhythm to this same exact song, and it goes like this. And probably like 98% of you got that was Happy Birthday. And obviously I'm not playing any right notes at all here. So that's just the power of rhythm over melody. So better that you have a really compelling rhythm than that you have a really awesome melody for this thing. Even though we're talking about the melody, the rhythm is wrapped up in it. So what I'd recommend you do is you play your chords lots of times through, and then you just kind of feel what kind of rhythm comes out. Especially at the beginning, there's probably going to be some kind of a melody that also fits with that rhythm. Try to avoid the melody if possible. If not, for nothing else, just the purpose of this exercise, we're just going to play this progression through and try to come up with some kind of you'll see 2, 3, 6, 1, 2, 3. So the most obvious thing is just every single beat 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But then if we try to come up with something else like da 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 da. And how did I come up with that? I know there's lots of you with that question, like, but I don't have a rhythm that just pops in my head. That's cheating. Yes, it is. It is. And also, probably the more you play, the more you will accidentally imply with your fingers to your ear some kind of a rhythm. So we'll probably, when I first played this thing, like if I played it like that, then I might accidentally hear what my hands were doing, and then that would be the rhythm that kind of showed up. So you might want to take the hint from your hands as to what it should be, but then also just trying to play this thing. Now, if you can't play this smoothly yet, if you can't play your chord progressions smoothly, then nothing's going to pop in your head because it's not going to sound like anything. We were going to the F chord and then the the A, no, minor. Like this has no rhythm that's going to come forth from the darkness. So you're going to have to be able to play your 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Play it all smoothly. And then try to distance yourself from what your hands are doing and just feel like what else feels like it's popping up in there. What does it feel like the drums would do if there were drums in here? Now, it will help if you know a lot of notation stuff and you can write out sheet music. Great, cool, write out the rhythms. If you can't, that's perfectly fine. You just need to kind of estimate what's happening during what chords. So in order to be able to remember this later, during the F chord, I'm going to just write all the melodies for the F down there, all the A minor down there, the B flat, and the C down there. So for the F, I think the thing I did was bum, da 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 da. So I'm going to be something like dum da 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 da. So that's kind of like a note, and then two notes that are really close together, and then a note right before I switch to the A. So that thing right there is supposed to demonstrate da 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 da. It's not exact, but if you don't know how to write sheet music out, it will totally work. Ba ba ba. Now, actually, we're kind of getting on the border of actually writing out sheet music at this point. But if you can, like, tell which numbers it's supposed to be on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. So like 4, 5, 6 is where those other three happened. So if you can tell that stuff, I mean, it's, again, kind of getting into the weeds here, and we're getting dangerously close to writing out sheet music. But what I want is these three right here to be on the last three beats of the measure. Bum, ba, ba, bum. So, bum, ga, 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 da, ba, ba, ba. So there's a note that happens right here in my rhythm. Dun, 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 dun. Ga, 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 ga. Oh, oops, I accidentally put a melody in there too. Ga, 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 ga. So, boom, ga, 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 ga. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, ba, 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 ba. Same thing happens here at the last measure. I've got a really heavy 4, 5, 6. And then I've got another note that's like right before that. Ba 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 ba. Okay, cool. So I've got a grand total of 4, 5, 8, 9, 13 notes in this line. Bum, da 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 ga 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 ga. So that's going to be the rhythm that kind of emerged for me on this song. It could be something totally different for you. And there's also a high likelihood that either now during the rhythm or in just a second during the melody or later after that during the lyrics section that you're going to accidentally steal some person's thing because you're just waiting for something to emerge. And the thing that emerged was the theme from Family Matters, or the song that they sang in the middle of The Office, which, by the way, is is that the song that we're covering next week? I Try. It is from the Office. It's good. I Try is the name of the song they sang in The Office, and unfortunately, the Office version was the best version of the song that I've been able to find on the internet. But anyway, so we'll make the new best version together. So if that happens, if some rhythm emerges and then you later on find out, oh, that was Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, I feel like an idiot. Don't feel like an idiot. Happens all the time. But the more you do this, the more options you'll have swimming around in your head, and the more things will emerge, and you'll be able to fix those. So now we threw out all the melody, and we started with a rhythm for the section, and then we want to just make sure that we stay within a singable range. So a singable range for most people is just going to be kind of on the staff. So maybe like in this-ish range here, like from an A up to like an E or an F, maybe, depending on the intensity of it, maybe down to an F. Couple octaves in there. If you're a dude, you're going to be singing down here from that F to that F. It's kind of going to be the low. Never mind. And a high F there. So girls, it's kind of the same thing, but just an octave higher. Cool. So between a couple of Fs, make sure you don't write some melody that's all over the place. See those a lot. So we're going to try to keep it on the staff if possible, which is a good thing to keep in mind. And then if we were doing a verse, we would, in general, want to keep the verse part kind of lower-ish, towards the bottom of the range. And then because the higher you go, especially on human voices, like the higher the notes get, the more intense the sound is, the more energy those notes seem to have. So you'll want to put the high energy, the high intensity parts up higher, which is usually the chorus. That's what we're building up to in the verse. So you want your verse to be down here, and then as the song is supposed to get more and more intense, slowly move up. If you've got a bridge in between or an interlude or something, maybe put the interlude in this range, the bridge in that range, and then put your chorus up in this range up here towards the top of the range. So you can just have something higher. But right now we're only doing chorus, so we're just going to kind of stay up in this range right here. Perhaps. We'll see. And then using chord tones on chord changes. So this just means that during the F chord, right here, this note needs to be some note out of the F chord. An F or an A or a C. I could pick these randomly. Should I? Yeah, let's pick them randomly. I'm going to pick the 1 and then the 3 and then the 5 of these. So the 1 of the F chord is an F. So that one is going to be an F. And then the 3 of the A would be the C. Okay. And then the 5 of the B flat would be F. So that's going to be an F right there. Right on the chord change, I'm going to play one of the notes out of the chord. In the B flat chord, the F is the 5. Okay, so I picked the 1 of the F chord. So on the F chord, bam. I'm going to hit the F. On the A minor, I'm going to hit the C, because the C is the 3 of A, and I'm trying to pick these things randomly, so you don't think that I came into this with special expertise that you could not have. We could both pick things randomly. And then on the B flat chord, we're going to play the F, because the F is the 5 B flat, and I'm just picking these randomly. And then on the B flat over C, because we haven't really gone high yet, we kind of broke all of our rules, so we're supposed to be playing up in this range, and so far we've only landed here towards the middle. I'm going to go ahead and jump up to a C up here. We have no chord, we have no note on this chord change right here, so there's nothing going on right there. So I'm just going to go C, B flat, A, so we can have, and this could be any note. Really, it could be any note. They're all going to sound exactly the same, so I'm going to just put an F in here. It's kind of... There we go. So that's the end of it. So what I have so far is an F, da da ga 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 ga. And then loop it back around. Da da ga ga ga. Okay, so far we're just picking notes randomly, so you don't feel like I've got some special leg up on you. I don't know what that phrase means. And then from there, let's see if we have any other advice that's going to help us. We put chord tones on chord changes. So at the point of a chord change, we put a chord tone, a note out of the chord as our melody. And then we just want to connect to the chord tones as much as possible using mostly stepwise movements. Don't jump around a lot, especially if this is supposed to be sung, because it's really hard to sing big, huge jumps. So then we're going to go back to here, and we're going to go, so we got an F, and we're going to get to a C. So we've got 2 notes in between, but we're supposed to play 3 notes. Ba-da, ba. So I'm just going to have these last 2 walk down. That's going to be a D. The one right before it's going to be an E, which means the next one is going to actually be an F. It's a repeat of the first note. So just following the rules that we have, we'll have F, ah, ah, da, da, da. Then right here, we're supposed to go from a C to an F. We could just walk straight up, do the exact opposite of what we did. F. And that is all the notes. So the melody that we now have is... kind of catchy. That's our new melody without tweaking anything else. We just used chord tones. We tried to connect them. We had some rhythm that kind of emerged out of the ability to play the progression smoothly, and that could totally work. There's this one other thing that seems to persist through all of the songwriting stuff and through all the chord analysis, song analysis stuff that we do, and that is that in general, things seem to, and I could be making this up, and I'm also stealing this idea from one of my teachers, Joe Gilman, who had kind of pointed this out to me, and then ever since he did, either it was I just noticed it now because he said it, or whether he said it because it's actually true. It seems like going from 1 to 5 of the key kind of builds anticipation, and then resolution would be 5 back down to 1. In some cases, 5 up to 1. But moving from the 1 to the 5 creates anticipation. Moving from the 5 to the 1 resolves that anticipation, creates more resolution, which you may recall is something that we talk about, like when we do our pedal tones. So if you pedal over a 1, the whole thing kind of feels automatically resolved, even though you have that anticipation. It kind of creates like this pulling back to home. Whereas if you pedal a 5, it has more of it's creating more and more chaos, more anticipation, more conflict or whatever. So the 5 tends to be that like building up, and the 1 seems to be that tethering down feel. So same thing ends up kind of being true, I think, for the melodies. So if I just throw away all of those notes that I had there, and I just take into consideration that right here, I want to start with the 1, and I want to find a way to start to build up to the 5, and then resolve it back down to the 1. That would be something like this. So the exact same rhythm, exact same chord progression. I'm going to throw out all the notes and just try to go from the 1 and in my melody. Up using actually the same that thing, so I'll try to change that. So there we go. So I changed these last notes over here so I'm not stealing from before. So from the 1, I'm going to try to creep up to the 5 and then walk back down. resolves back down to the 1. So kind of moving from the 1 up to the 5 is a way to kind of help guide you. Which chord tones should I use? Well, if you're, use chord tones that are going to lead you to the 5 or not, whatever, make your own decisions. Do what you think sounds cool. But then the last things is that you can tweak these things, of course, to your taste. Just do whatever sounds good to you. Melodic suspension on chord changes. So you don't necessarily have to hit a chord tone on a chord change. I know I just said you do, but if you want to, you could hit a note right next to a chord tone and then slide into it after the chord change. Let me give you one quick example of that. So right here, instead of hitting that C right there, instead of doing that, you could go like another D here, play a D right there, that's then going to resolve down to the C, and that would sound something like... So, playing not the note and then falling down into it. Or the opposite direction, coming down below it and then coming up. So that would be, instead of a D there, that'd be a B flat coming up to a C, would be something like... I don't like that one at all, but it was an option. It was an attempt. That could work. So I kind of went to the other side of it and then came back up to it. So just not hitting a chord tone on purpose right on the beat and then sliding into it, that's considered a suspension. And then adding more space is always a good option. So in this case, we actually have, the rhythm that I created at the beginning had all of this space in here. There's no notes going on. But in general, especially when you're first starting out, these measures get really filled up because I ask beginning students to come up with a rhythm. They're like, it's like, whoa, that's just way too many things happening there. You need to slow it all down and smooth it out. So adding more space is generally a good idea. Just taking out a bunch of notes after you've written your melody. See where it feels like you try singing through it too. And if it feels like while you're singing through it, like there's no place for me to take a breath, that's a really bad sign. Make sure you put spaces in there. And then repeating phrases. So, we could take like this thing right here and just turn that into our motif. So I'm just repeating that one phrase, or we could take this phrase right here and we could repeat that. So that's just taking, one little phrase and then repeating that over multiple different chords. So there's some other ways that you can tweak your melody. And then once you have the thing that you think that you like, I'm going to go ahead and stick with our original. Then we're talking about lyrics. And I usually don't get very much into lyrics because, first of all, I don't care at all. Quite honestly, I'd never know the lyrics to anything. Even my favorite songs. Like I could sing them, I could play them. But when I sing them, it's like, this thing that I made up right here, that's the way I sing every song. Mary Had a Little Mess. I don't know the lyrics to anything. So I'm not the greatest person to talk to about writing lyrics. However, I've got many students who care very deeply about it. And so I've spent a lot of time researching it, and I've actually written quite a few lyrics to songs. And as it turns out, like all the greatest lyric writers, all in their interviews, their books, I've read and listened to and watched so many. It all comes down to basically good storytelling, making sure that you are reaching into emotion for your lyrics. There's so many people advising don't write about something that you're not familiar with. So, for example, 10-year-olds who are writing songs. I know that's depressing for some of you. Like, what? 10-year-olds writing songs? I'm 50 and I haven't written anything yet. That's fine. But, they want to write a song, but they listen to, Taylor Swift and Katy Perry and Justin Bieber, and then they want to write like some love song. I'm like, but you don't have, that's not going to come from who you are. So make sure that, whatever it is that's interesting to you, that compels emotion. Whenever the last time you almost cried in your real life, not watching a movie or listening to a song, whenever that was, that might be a really good topic for you to start with. So we've got a lot of theory here about how to write these things. Now, practically, super practically, once you have what your subject is going to be, whether or not you're going to follow any of that advice, it's really cheap and easy and cheating to just put whatever the most important action word is, either verb or the most unique word, put it at the very, very end of your phrase, and then try to rhyme some other word with that earlier, like 4 measures before that or 2 measures before that, and that's going to end up sounding really cheesy. But like when I've got to write a song with a student, we've got a half an hour, and we write a song real quick in the last 10 minutes of the lesson. That's what I do. Like, what's going to be the title of your song? Lego Ninjago. All right. Well, what rhymes with Ninjago? And then we'll find some other word, and then you try to write your phrases that are going to lead up to those words that rhyme. Okay, that's super duper cheap. Probably going to end up really, really cheesy, but that's some really practical advice to get through it if you want to just put some lyrics in. And then there's tons of advice in here. Again, I don't care about any of this stuff, but I know you do, so I do on your behalf. And this is my condensed version of all the best advice that I could come up with. So reading that stuff might help out. Let me point out a couple main points here. In general, you want your chorus to be some kind of a solution or some kind of a phrase, some group of words that's going to relate to multiple verses. So you want to have a verse and then a chorus and then a different verse and the same chorus and a different verse and the same chorus. So try to write your choruses to relate to multiple different verses. Rhyming dictionaries, again, the rhyming thing is like, for some great songwriters, a huge no-no. Like, that's just totally cheap. And for other people, it's like, that is the beauty of writing, is that you can find the way that you fit words together. So anyway, like I said, there's lots of advice on that stuff. I think I'm going to leave it at that. What we can do is if you read through this stuff, by the way, this one up here is just a worksheet that you just go straight through, you fill in all the blanks, and it'll kind of tell you what you're going to end up writing about. Emotion is like the most important. I haven't used that word yet. That's the most important part in writing lyrics, is the emotion, but it's the most important part in all the music. Anyway, let's stop the rambling. You read through that stuff there that's basically going to tell you everything is about emotion, and it's going to say that in 13,000 different ways. And then you're going to try to come up with, here's what my choruses are going to be, here's what my verse is going to be. And then if you want to send me those, I'd be happy to look over them. Like I said, I don't personally care about writing my own lyrics, but I know you care about your lyrics, and I'd be happy to analyze your lyrics based on the advice that I've read and used over the years. Okay, so come up with something that you think you like, and I'd be happy to give you some feedback on that stuff. Let's do our wrap up, and then we'll do our feature of the day, which is really cool today. Not that the others suck, but sometimes the others suck. We talked in the lyrics section, frustratingly for some people, about the very little, but we said that emotion really matters, and then we said that your choruses should relate to your verses. We said, and then the whole, again, this is all storytelling stuff. This is all good writing habits. It applies, like a songwriting book could just be like a novel writing book in most cases. So you want to make sure that you are putting your listener in the emotion of the situation, as opposed to describing the scene. You want to just put the person in the scene. Lots of different ways to say that. Read them there. More practically, in my world, we talked about how going from 1 to a 5 in a key creates anticipation, and then resolving down to the 1 creates that resolution that you're looking for. We want to use chord tones when we change chords. We want to not use melodies and lyrics you already came up with before. If you already had an idea of, here's a poem that I'd really like to put to music, this is not the method to do that. Starting with the rhythm's going to be more important than the notes in every single case. Staying within a singable range if you want it to be a singable song. And in almost every case, the range could be smaller from the songs that I get. Very rarely is it too small of a range. I don't even know that there is such a thing. I don't know that I've ever uttered those words to a student ever, is maybe you should expand the range of your song. Like that's not a thing. So, but very frequently, like it's too like that's not, no one's going to sing that. It sounds pretty, sure, but it's just confine yourself more. We talked about how verses are going to generally be lower, and then the choruses should be kind of in a higher range to create anticipation and create intensity. Not anticipation, to create intensity. And then we talked about chord tones and chord changes. Connecting the chord tones is a huge deal. And then we talked about how SoundCloud is like YouTube, but without all the videos. So hopefully more practically than that is our lick of the day. So today is going to be a lick that's going to end on a C, or better yet, a C minor. Here are the notes for it. It's going to be a B flat in the key of C. It's going to be a B flat, and then a B, an E flat, an F, a B flat, and an A flat. Sounds like just a random bunch of notes. But if you play them in that order, and then maybe come down to that one, then you can end on pretty much any note that's in the C chord. C, if we have a G7 chord, or a G, if we ended on a G, or you can end on a C. I guess that's going to be hard to get down to. Okay, but did we end on an E? I don't think we did. Or it sounds even better if this is going to go to a C minor in the end instead of a C. So if we have, or if we have a C at the top, or if we have a C at the bottom. Okay, so that's called what we're going to call the bounce lick for right now, from the song Jersey Bounce. And this is one of many little jazz licks in the licks section. It's actually called the idioms section, where we go through a lot of stuff, but that's kind of one of the more intense licks. But it's just really, really super duper cool, and I like it a lot. So let's do some questions if we can. Let's see here. Cool. And we have one. Why can't I use a melody I already have? Because you could, perhaps, if the melody fits the chords. That almost never. So when I say you can't use a melody you already have, I mean you can't, like if you came up with something in the shower and you're like, oh, this here is really cool. So that's the melody that you're going to use. Then that's likely to not fit with whatever chord progression you came up with in yesterday's lesson or in the day before's lesson. So they're just the fact that the two are probably not going to lay on top of each other nicely. However, in a lot of cases, like when you're just playing through the chords, in a lot of cases, like you're going to naturally hear some melody emerge out of that, and that melody you can use if you can figure out what it is. So like for me, so if you're playing your chord progression and a melody emerges out of that, then cool. You can use that one, no problem. But if the only thing I'm saying is if you have a melody before you started creating the chords, it's probably not going to work out. But if it does, great. Send that to me and I will publicly apologize and say, I was wrong. You were right. Your melody fit beautifully. And next week, we're doing the song I Try, which I can't think of how it goes at the moment. But next week, it's a really, really cool song that I don't like any of the versions of. So the chord progression, the melody, I love it all. I'm going to bring in some of my friends to sing on it. Hopefully have a little chorus behind me. And that'll be a lot of fun. So join us for that, or not, whatever. Go back in the archives, find a lesson you like, or just wait until one comes up in the schedule, or send me what you wish the lesson was about. Any of that. I'll do it, because I love you. Good luck. Have fun.